Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Easy English Podcast. I am your host, Joe, and today we are brewing up something special. We are talking about the most important part of many people's day, the morning coffee routine. To help me navigate this delicious topic, I have a very special guest. She is a world-renowned expert on daily rituals and the author of several books on productivity. Jane, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe. It is a pleasure to be here. I always say that the way you start your morning determines the quality of your entire day. And for many of us, that starts with a warm cup of coffee.
I couldn't agree more. I actually feel like a bit of a zombie until I have had my first sip. Jane, let's start with the basics. When you wake up, what is the very first thing you do? Is it straight to the coffee machine?
Actually, Joe, I recommend waiting a little bit. I usually start with a glass of water to hydrate, but then the ritual begins. I am a bit of a purist. I don't just push a button on a machine. I love the process of grinding my own beans. The sound of the grinder is like a wake-up call for my brain. Do you grind your own beans, Joe?
I do. I have a manual burr grinder. It takes a bit of effort, which I think is good for waking up the muscles. The smell, or should I say the aroma of fresh coffee grounds is just incredible. For our listeners, aroma is a great word for a pleasant smell, especially when talking about food and drink.
Exactly. Aroma is key. When we talk about coffee, we also talk about notes. Some coffee has nutty notes, some has chocolatey notes, or even fruity notes. It is a very complex beverage. After I grind the beans, I use a French press. It is a very simple method, but it produces a very rich and robust flavor. Robust means strong and full-bodied.
I love that word, robust. I usually go for a pour-over method. I find it very meditative to pour the hot water slowly over the coffee grounds. It requires focus. Now, let's talk about the fixings. Do you drink your coffee black, or do you add milk and sugar?
I am a black coffee person, Joe. I like to taste the raw profile of the bean. However, many people enjoy a splash of milk or a teaspoon of sugar. In English, when we say a splash, we mean a very small amount of liquid. It is a very common term in the kitchen.
A splash of milk, perfect. Now, coffee is often accompanied by breakfast. In the English-speaking world, breakfast can vary greatly. Some people like a light breakfast, while others prefer something hearty. What is your go-to breakfast, Jane?
If I am busy, I will have something quick, like a bowl of oatmeal or some Greek yogurt with honey. But on the weekends, I love a full spread. Toast, scrambled eggs, maybe some avocado. Avocado toast has become quite a staple in modern breakfast culture. A staple refers to a food that is eaten routinely and in such quantities that it constitutes a dominant portion of a standard diet.
Avocado toast is definitely a favorite. For our learners, scrambled eggs is when you mix the yolks and whites together while cooking them. It's different from sunny side up, where the yolk is still runny. Jane, you've traveled a lot. What is the most interesting breakfast you've seen?
That's a great question. In Japan, for example, breakfast often includes rice, miso soup, and grilled fish. It is very different from the Western cereal and milk routine. It is very savory. Savory is the opposite of sweet. It refers to salty or spicy flavors. In England, of course, you have the famous full English, which includes beans, sausages, bacon, and even grilled tomatoes.
The full English is a classic, but it is definitely heavy. After a meal like that, you might need a second cup of coffee just to keep moving. Let's talk about the vocabulary of the morning. We use sequence markers to describe our routine. For example, first I boil the water. Then I grind the beans. Next, I pour the water. Finally, I sit down to enjoy my cup. These words like first, then, next, and finally are essential for clear English communication.
They really are. And let's not forget afterwards or subsequently for more formal contexts. Another thing to consider is the caffeine kick. Many people drink coffee for the jolt of energy it provides. Are you sensitive to caffeine, Joe?
I am. I can't drink coffee after 2 p.m. or I will be wide awake at midnight. Wide awake means completely awake. Jane, what about those who don't like coffee? What are the alternatives for a morning routine?
Tea is the obvious choice. There are so many varieties of steeping the tea. Letting it sit in the hot water is very important. We use the verb to steep specifically for tea. Some people even prefer a smoothie, which is a blended drink made of fruit and vegetables.
Smoothies are great for a grab-and-go breakfast. That's another good idiom. Grab and go describes something that is quick and convenient because you are in a hurry. Now, Jane, as an expert, why do you think these routines are so important for someone learning a language like English?
Consistency is everything, Joe. If you can pair your English practice with your morning coffee, it becomes a habit. You don't have to think about it. You just do it. I suggest learners listen to a podcast like this one while they are brewing their coffee. It uses the habit stacking method. You take a habit you already have, making coffee, and stack a new habit on top of it, learning English.
Habit stacking, that is a brilliant tip. So to our listeners, maybe tomorrow morning while your coffee is dripping or your tea is steeping, you can try to describe what you are doing out loud in English. Use the words we talked about: aroma, robust, savory, and your sequence markers.
Exactly. Even just saying, "I am pouring the milk now," helps build that connection between the action and the language. It makes the learning more organic. Organic in this sense means happening naturally.
This has been such an enlightening conversation, Jane. We've covered everything from the grind to the jolt of energy. Before we go, do you have any final piece of advice for our English learners regarding their morning?
My advice is to enjoy the silence. In a world that is so loud, the morning coffee routine is a time for peace. Use that peace to focus your mind. If you are learning English, use that time to think in English. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be consistent.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jane. This was a wonderful blend of lifestyle tips and English lessons. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We hope this episode helps you start your day on the right foot. Don't forget to check the description for a summary of the vocabulary we used today. Until next time, keep practicing and keep brewing.
Goodbye, everyone, and enjoy your breakfast.